when I'm watching this game, I'm thinking to myself, my God, everything that's happening in this game is exactly the things that happen to a coach who's under it and going to get fired, because at the end of the game, they're just a little less disciplined than Vrabel's team. They do the stupid things of the false start, the delay of game.
Oh, it was awful.
You put it in 2nd and 20, you can move. And here's the thing about this. This one is the one that really hurts, okay? I know that everyone is focusing today on the lack of discipline on the last drive. The greatest advantage that Miami's supposed to have, the only way they beat Josh Allen, is to exhaust him in the heat. At the end of that game, when they're tired, is when their discipline's supposed to go. When they're tired. It's not supposed to happen to you when you're training all offseason in this heat. The advantage is that this season is over, Greg. They're not going to rebound from 0-3.
I dare you to counter it,
Greg.
They're not
going to be the team that rebounds from 0-3 to make the playoffs.
Right.
And by the way, it's going to be
Probably
an 0-3 that they lose by 50 in 3 nights.
Hold on a second. That
probably
game hasn't
not.
been played yet. We don't know what's going to happen
Yeah, we do.
Thursday.
Well, Buffalo's won 15 of the last 17 meetings, so I don't like their chances on a short week. But not to play the voice of reason here, but somebody has to, okay? At 0-2, I don't write them off yet. At 0-3, I don't write them off yet. Although, realistically, if I'm a betting man, of course, I'm betting against them making the playoffs at 0-3. They obviously played better yesterday than in the opener. It's a low bar. They couldn't do any worse than they did at Indy. But I think Tua to Tyreek looked more like 2023 than they have the past season plus.
Except on the one bad throw that Tua made that he needed to make. He only had 5 incompletions, but 2 of the passes were backbreakers. Because Tyreek Hill is wide open. Took himself out of the game on an important drive. He was so frustrated because Tua missed him when he was wide open.
Well, on that long completion, he horribly
It was a
underthrew.
terrible, the 47-yard completion was actually a terrible throw.
Yeah.
And he had an interception in the first quarter called back because of a penalty that had nothing to do with the interception.
Right, but the interception didn't count.
But it was an awful throw to start the game.
Tua didn't have a great game. He had a much better game than in the opener. I thought Tua's performance was encouraging. The problem is the defense is so
How can you do that,
bad.
Dad? I don't want to do this and just jump down your throat, but he looks so rattled in the pocket, even on the plays that go well. He just is I don't know if it's all the concussions he's had, but he just, he's frantic in the pocket.
Hold on, guys, because 5 incompletions, 300 yards, and he could have won the game at the end, and I understand.
It's all screen passes.
Dan, he has never looked this bad.
I am not disagreeing.
I love Tua, but he has never looked this bad.
He's cooked.
I'm not disagreeing, but if you guys are making this about Tua, give them that point total all season and watch them lose all the games because the defense cannot stop anybody. The Patriots are really bad offense. Daniel Jones now has 2 Colts games, with no turnovers and no punts, twice as many of those in his Colts career as Peyton Manning. Daniel Jones did this to the Dolphins right down the field with an offense that appears to be good. The Patriots just did it to the Dolphins with an offense that is empirically bad, one of the worst in the league.
Here's the thing, though, and I got some of this on Twitter from Dolphin fans yesterday where I'm angry with Tua, and I've been a Tua guy. I'm angry with Tua because I know what I see, and this is a quarterback who is not any good anymore. So I'm angry about that. But here's the thing, and I feel like you just alluded to it as well. The Tua thing is so much, yes, there are several reasons why this team is terrible right now, but the only one that really matters is Tua, because the defense can be terrible. Guess what? They could fix that in the next year. The coach can be terrible. Guess what? They could fix that next year by firing him. If Tua's terrible, there's no fixing it. It's a major, major issue. So when I talk about Tua being bad, yeah, there's a lot of other things that are really bad with this team right now, but long-term, we can fix those things. If Tua's terrible, there's no fix.
Yeah, Tua was not terrible yesterday. He was actually pretty good. The defense lost that game, and special teams lost that game. If you think Tua and the offense were to blame yesterday, you didn't see the game I saw. The defense is terrible. They've had 15 series, opposing series this year, and allowed 13 scores. In 15 series, they had 2 stops. Hallelujah! The defense is awful. The cornerbacks are awful. The offensive line was awful before it became injury prone. Those are the Achilles heels of this team. The pass defense led by bad cornerbacks and the offensive line that can't have a running game. Achane can't run the ball yet. He's done very well coming out of the backfield catching screen passes, so that pads his stats. But they're an egregiously flawed team. But yesterday, Tua and that offense were not the problem. They outgained the Patriots.
All right. I appreciate Greg's perspective here because it's certainly more interesting than all of us being like, this team's garbage, fire everybody. But we can see that you're a little bit more bullish on their chances and the season's not over. But that was still a really bad loss to a team that no
Agreed.
one... I mean, maybe some people have pegged the Patriots as a sleeper team, but the Dolphins entered this season with the hope and expectation that they would be better than Mike Vrabel's first year in New England.
Yes.
Okay? You had banners flying over the stadium. We set the scene up perfectly. This was as toxic as it's been around the fan base in quite some time. They have that performance. They lose the home opener. Should something be done about this team? Either front office, head coach, roster move? Does someone pay the price? Because the fan base has found this start unacceptable.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they expected to be 2-0 right now. And they were favored to win yesterday, albeit by 1.5 or 2. There's no question that it's been a major crash, a dumpster fire of a start. Somebody will be fired if it continues. And
You think midseason?
It's possible.
Answer his question.
But you're not
though.
there yet.
Answer his question.
No one pays for what's happened so far.
No, after 2 games, no, I'm not there yet.
The reason that I'm stopping you is because of a couple of things. One, you say that's their Achilles heel. They are simply an Achilles heel. What isn't an Achilles heel for this team? Go ahead. I'm waiting.
They have above-average receiver room. Tua's coming off a good game, no matter what you say. A 317-yard game.
You cannot
with
say,
great accuracy.
but you can't say that Tua is one of the strengths right now. The whole team.
Did you say great accuracy?
Yeah.
He missed like 4 passes, like the deep one, the one over Tyreek's head in the middle of the field when he's wide open.
He missed a total of 5 passes.
No, he had 5 incompletions, and they're protecting him even more than they've had to protect him. It's not a good thing when against that team at home. Okay, you have no margin for error. Against the Patriots,
right.
No margin for error. You have to do everything perfectly. Part of the problem with the architecture of this team is that it has to do everything perfectly. Everything has to come out quickly. Everything has to protect Tua.
Right.
When you say they're Achilles heel, they are an Achilles heel. When I compare that to the University of Miami game, I am not prisoner of the moment when I say that is the most balanced football team I have seen at the University of Miami in a long time. The Dolphins are the opposite of that. Flaws all over the place.
Right.
Flaws we can all know, and a historically bad defense, okay? Daniel Jones has started his career with no punts in a game and no turnovers in the first 2 games. That is historically
the front
good.
The defensive front 7 is passably okay. Chubb has 2 sacks in 2 games. Let's fine tune it. It's the cornerback play that is a killer. It's the offensive line that is a killer. When you say they have an Achilles heel everywhere you look, that's not accurate. They have a quarterback you can win with. They have a better-than-average receiver room, even though they botched their tight end situation. And Darren
Greg, you
Waller's
think something
a
about
mess.
the quarterback that is less certain than just about anybody right now.
Okay, but they're headed into this game against the Buffalo Bills, which Dan already highlighted. They look like an absolute wagon. We said this was basically a Waterloo game for all the powerful players in this franchise. They are not favored to win this game against Buffalo. Do you look around and say, this is the right group of men, either in leadership positions or on the field, to be like, yeah, okay, we can save our season here against the Buffalo Bills? Because if they didn't win that game against New England with the way that the tide was rising around them, how do you think they can figure it out for Buffalo?
Greg, Zaz speaks for the fan base.
I know he does. And I speak for myself. And what I think is that, and I've said and written this forever, so this is not new from me. If the Dolphins don't make the playoffs, they have massive changes. Greer gets fired, McDaniel gets fired. That's a 99% certainty. The only question is when. After the Bills, which everyone expects them to lose, they have a home game against the Jets and then they play at the Panthers. If they come out of these first 5 games 0-5 or even 1-4, I think there could be a firing, an in-season firing, which is uncharacteristic. It hasn't happened in years. I don't think it's what Ross wants to do, but I think by 5 games in, the toxic surrounding this team will be too much to bear.
I want to go back to Tua for a moment here and something that you said, because obviously Tua was a lot better yesterday than he was in week number 1. But, you mentioned how Tua's performance yesterday was encouraging. We're not in year number 2 with Tua.
Right.
This is year 6.
Yeah. He made the Pro Bowl 2 years ago, I'd remind you.
But he also looked a lot better 2 years ago than he does now, which is the concern. Like, he does not look like he used to 2 or 3 years ago. And I think that's why people are saying he doesn't look good, because he doesn't look up to the standard that we have set for him or that he set for himself.
That's the part, Dad, that's frustrating for me, is it seems like you're just like, I made this prediction, so no matter what I see on the field, I'm just going to say it. Technically not done yet. It's what I'm seeing, because I'm with you. They could have won yesterday's game. They could be 1-1 right now. I don't think anyone's really arguing, like, yes, this team could be a 7-9 team, but like what I'm seeing from Tua, that it doesn't look like it used to. Something seems off with him. You don't see that?
Greg is reasonable, and he is applying the perspective you can almost all around the league for somebody like the Chiefs today if you want to. You can talk yourself into something. The thing about the Dolphins that makes it hard is, after week 1, nationally, everyone in the country was saying that's the worst performance that there was week 1. It's the way that they are losing. If you're a coach in trouble, those 2 games are the disaster. And what do you need at the end to be 1-1? You need your $250 million quarterback to once give you a game-winning drive where you trust him. Because I don't have a lot of those, Greg. I don't have a lot of, at the end of the game, when everything's not perfect, hey, Tua, do it in 2 minutes now. Do it quickly. Everyone knows what you got to do it. Give me all the ones you've got of Tua leading marches down the field. I got the Ravens game where they scored the 6 touchdowns. That's a comeback that I remember, but give me all the ones you got that make you, at the end of that game yesterday, do something different than what I was doing. I'm like, that game's lost. I don't believe Tua will go down the field. I believe this team will do something to short circuit. And then they did all the things to short circuit.
No, they did the drive, and then they didn't do the drive because he was out of bounds. Like, we saw it happen, and then they're like, you know what? Forget what you just saw because he was 6 inches out of bounds.
So, yes, they get the 60-yard play, the fluky play from Achane, which is about the only thing they can do. Dump it off and see if Achane can do something in the open field. And he's been really good as a receiver. And Billy's not wrong. This might be an entirely different conversation if Achane stays in bounds, but he didn't. And when he didn't, you saw a false start, delay of game, 2nd and 20, and you're like, they're going backwards. They're going to try and get 20 yards, now 6 yards at a time. That's how they're going to get the 2nd and 20. They're not going to go down the field. It's going to be 6 and 7 yards, and they're going to put me in a situation where I'm watching 2 on 4th and 7, and I'm like, they're going to do something wrong here, and then they do.
I want to play this sound of McDaniel after the game because he tries to take responsibility while blaming other people. And this is a minute here of him trying to be the head coach and taking responsibility, but not.
Ultimately, I look at absolutely everything falling on me. So I don't see, that's the responsibility of a head coach, that you go into knowing that. That being said, I'm very frustrated with, collective, there's some basically coaches and players that did not execute communication in a very dire period of the game with the game on the line. Our communication and our substitution was not up to par, and ultimately that is my, I hold all responsibility for all things.
Specifically, the penultimate 4th down, was there a delay in deciding to go for it, getting the play call, breaking the...
That's kind of where the frustration lies for me. It wasn't deciding that cost us, or a late play call, which that happens at times, but this was not one of those times.
Not a deciding problem. He's basically just like, just so you know, this wasn't a decision thing. The decision was made and it wasn't executed properly.
Also, so that everyone understands, I'm ultimately responsible for everything, but I'm also going to give you a list of all the things that everyone else did wrong. But you can come back to me because I'm the head coach, okay? So ultimately it falls on me. But everyone else, not a good job.
So you were saying how you're just throw it to Achane and hopefully he makes something happen, right? Which is basically what was going on in the game yesterday. Like every positive play was Achane kind of making things just happen. So I decided to look up Achane. He had 92 receiving yards on 8 receptions. Do you want to guess how many yards after contact he had?
Oh, okay, hold it. So how many yards total?
92 total yards.
I like this game.
This is after this we're gonna have a fun little experiment.
Okay, I'm gonna go 84.
84 yards after contact of his 92. Do you want to guess, Craig, how many yards after contact?
Let's say 58.
58 of his 92 were yards after contact. Dan?
I wasn't listening to you because I was asking Chris to cut sound, and you knew I was doing that. You saw me
didn't
doing
know
that.
that.
Dirty
and
move,
you-
Billy.
dirty
Dirty
move. You saw me.
Okay, Mike McDaniel.
Let's play this.
He had
out.
92 yards receiving. How many yards after contact? I'll just tell you, 102 yards after contact.
Yeah.
What?
He had more yards after contact than he had total yards receiving.
Well, let's give Tua the credit for all those yards.
I was telling Chris Cody to play this sound because as this banner flies over the stadium and you lose that way, this is how Mike McDaniel sleeps at night.
Absolutely everything falling on me.
He's just like looking at the ceiling with one eye open.
Absolutely everything falling on me.
All right, I got to take. Someone needs to pay. I'm not buying this. Look, you probably can't
Absolutely everything falling on me.
You can't fire the head coach. Short week actually helps him here, despite we know that they're all going to lose that game.
No,
But-
the move to fire the coach is Friday when they lose 40-0.
Okay. You fire the GM. Here's why. Every time I look up and check out the Pittsburgh Steelers, I see Jalen Ramsey making an impactful decoy-type play, and I hear you guys talking about how bad the Dolphins' defense is, and I look up every time in black and gold, and I see that guy making a play. Also, Miami Dolphins tight end room. 2 catches, 20 yards this season. It kind of seems like Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey would help, and that was a very bad trade very early on. Fire the GM?
You mentioned, Zaslow's in on
Yes.
fire everybody.
Yes.
And Jeremy's whispering to me that this is going to be the second coach that Tua gets fired because, as we mentioned, it's been 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, like Brian Flores looks right. Like he didn't want to go to Tua. He believed that Ryan Fitzpatrick gave them a better chance to win. Chris Greer basically made him play Tua. And ultimately, given the offense where it was at, they were a worse team when Tua was on the field. Then Mike McDaniel hitches his wagon to, I'm going to make Tua better. Now, ultimately, like, the real elephant in the room is the reason this guy looks worse is because his brain is scrambled. Like, you don't process as quickly after however many concussions. But at the same time,
Dan's about to hit you with stop talking.
No, I'm trying to hit reckless speculation, but it's not working.
No, Dr. Taché made a good point there.
Well, he just said his brain is scrambled, and I guess we can assume that. He doesn't look the same, but also his offensive line stinks. And
look, you're making a bunch of bad decisions, right? Like, isn't that processing?
I
think so.
I've made a lot of bad decisions in terms of how I've done the analysis of his entire career because brain scrambling as an ingredient is not something we've had to do before very much in quarterback measurements. But yes, we're all doctors now, and when he misses Tyreek Hill, and he was Drew Brees percentage-wise last season, he's the most accurate quarterback McDaniel's ever seen, the most accurate quarterback many of us have ever seen. And now there's more inaccuracy. Now we're all doctors, and it's not his arm, it's his brain. And I don't know. Because it could be his offensive line. It could be that he and Tyreek are not the same as they were. If it wasn't but 18 months ago that throw to Tyreek in a training camp was proof that Tua can't throw the deep ball. That was 18 months ago.
Even if ultimately to put the brain stuff aside, right? Like, you make the comparison to Drew Brees. You make the comparison to Drew Brees. The reason Drew Brees was this elite all-time quarterback is he was reaching those completion percentages in an era where no one else was. Now you have these dynamic quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, like Josh Allen, like Jalen Hurts, who ultimately are reaching the same completion percentages, but doing all of these other things that Tua physically cannot do. And that's the disparity. He could statistically continue to be this guy who only throws however many incompletions. But if all he can do is dink and dunk around the field, you're not going to be successful.
It's not the same offense as it was a few years ago. I understand like the offensive line is not very good right now, but man, they were picking up 3rd and 10 like it's nothing. And now it's all dinking and dunking. And look, I get it, the offensive line stinks, but if you're a quarterback in your 6th year and you were the number 5 overall pick, the expectation needs to be a little bit higher than things are going to go well only if the surrounding circumstances are perfect.
But, Zaz, it's worse than that, because when Chris is saying they can't fix it, they can. They might have the number 1 pick, and they can fix it with the number 1 pick. But they've tied up so much money in this that they no longer have the greatest advantage that they had in the Tua window, which is they had value at quarterback cheap. Now it's not that anymore. Now it's expensive, and you don't trust it, and you don't trust it at the end of games. And I will remind you, that point total is sufficient to win an NFL game. That defense is historically bad. They haven't gotten to the tough offenses yet. Like, the Colts look improved. I'd like to see a pass rush against the Colts. I'd like to see Daniel Jones bothered a bit, because I haven't seen a whole lot of that. He looks a lot different than he did with the Giants, obviously. Their skill guys are better, but I haven't seen him bothered a whole bunch. And I haven't seen the Dolphins defense bother anybody. They're not – to have 2 stops, going back to last season, going back to the end of last season, it was like 15 consecutive drives where they were allowing points. It's historically bad, Greg, and not the tough offenses yet.
Right. So I am sort of wondering why we continue to blame Tua for this loss, because as you say, it falls on the defense and special teams. I would have loved it if Mike McDaniel in his post-game talk had said, hey, by the way, I just fired my special teams coach, because guess what? We probably win that game if we don't give up a 90-yard kickoff return touchdown.
Also got a punt return touchdown. Like, what?
Yeah, right before that.
Right, but it's...
And then they have the momentum, and the stadium's going crazy for the first time all day, and they give up that kick return touchdown? Inexcusable. I would fire the special teams coach.